Rob Williams and we've got Paul Bean from our Geoengineering Age. Both of you, if you could individually talk about what exactly you do and what our Geoengineering Age even is.
What our Geoengineering Age, it really is a group of researchers like Rob Williams, who's here with us, environmental historian Rob Williams. We have J. Marvin Herndon, who's a nuclear geochemist who's been working on the subject for a number of years, and a public health pioneer, Mark Whiteside, down in Monroe County, Florida. And together, all of us, in some ways or another, have contributed to this research project into geoengineering and weather modification, and how that's affecting all living and breathing creatures on planet Earth. That, of course, includes human beings, but really all life forms, right down to the cellular level. And that's something that we have been discussing, looking into, testing, and sharing the information as much as possible.
The mission of OGA is to provide an evidence-based exploration of our Earth's most pressing yet underreported global environmental issue. And that is, of course, geoengineering, which might best be understood geoengineering as weather manipulation and climate modification. And geoengineering has a 100-year history, Polly, that has been mostly hidden from public view.
So I would say, and maybe I'm wrong here, but this is what I'm seeing, maybe amongst my people, most people understand that the skies are being sprayed. But the majority of those people, not in our movement, say it's for the good for us. It's for, they're getting rid of mosquitoes or they wouldn't do anything to hurt us. How do you respond to that?
Great question.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's kind of like the argument about vaccines being safe and effective and being useful, right? We had questions about that. We seemed like it was kind of being foisted upon us unknowingly from mysterious sources. Where is this coming from? For us to then realize, like, no, this is in fact not a good idea. It's not going to be useful. And maybe we should have, at the very least, an honest and open discussion about what's going on. One of the reasons why OGA was invited to speak in England about this subject, geoengineering and weather modification, is because their government has come out and said, like, hey, we're involved in some stratospheric aerosol injection projects to block out the sun. And the stated motive is to mitigate climate change and to cool the planet, to block the sun's rays, because, of course, that's totally going to solve all of our climate issues. But, like, that's the narrative that we're hearing. That's at least one of them. Another argument is that cloud seeding, specifically enhancing rain and precipitation overall, using silver iodide as an agent to do that. That's another, supposed climate solution, like a drought solution that we're hearing a lot about, particularly out west in states like Utah and Idaho, Colorado, where they are dealing with some drought issues. But what we here at OGA say is, a lot of the climate-related phenomena, climate-related issues actually have something to do with a much larger geoengineering project, which is now kind of slowly being unveiled. But as it's being unveiled, we're being told that it's being used for other things, other, useful things. However, that's just not the case.
And and do we know what those useful things are?
Well, yeah, like mitigating climate change, right? So the argument that blocking out the sun to cool the earth, which is what is being done in England, like admitted in England, and we think it's being done elsewhere. But they're saying, like, hey, this is going to stop climate change, and if we can just do this everywhere throughout the entire planet, then the Earth's temperature will go down, which of course is nonsense.
Can I just say, okay, so over Christmas, I flew into Heathrow, London Heathrow, and as I was coming into land about 10 o'clock in the morning, the sun was beautiful, and I was like, this is amazing. But then we hit cloud, thick cloud, black. Then we landed in complete fog and no sun. Is that geoengineering?
London is one of the European epicenters of this activity, Polly. partly because of the way that weather travels, prevailing from west to east, in the same way that the west coast of the United States, California, Oregon, Washington State, are ground zero for a lot of these geoengineering experiments. Geoengineering is many things, to circle back, Polly, to your question of a moment ago. But think of geoengineering in three phases: pumping, jumping, and dumping. Pump, jump, and dump. Pumping is when nanoparticulate metals, synthetic polymers, other kinds of chemicals are placed into various levels of the atmosphere. We pump chemicals in. That's chemistry. Number two, the jumping is about physics, how we use electromagnetic energy to steer weather around once we ionize it with those chemicals. So pump, chemistry; jump, physics. Dumping is about all of the environmental consequences of these chemicals, synthetic polymers, coming down onto the earth, right? Streams, rivers, oceans, forests, soils, agricultural land, homes, living creatures. But the other thing about dumping, Polly, is this. This is a form of synthetic biological experimentation. And this is probably the hardest of the three for people to wrap their minds around. Geoengineering is about replacing nature, natural biology, with synthetic biology, what scientists call symbio, synthetic biology. So I'm going to say that one more time. Pumping is about the chemistry, air pollution, nanoparticulate metals. Jumping is about the physics. We use electromagnetic energy, waves, to steer weather. And the dumping is about replacing natural biology with synthetic biology. And historically, you can see in 30-year timeline increments from the 1930s, the rollout of first pumping, second jumping, and third dumping. So when you flew into Heathrow, Polly, and you had this beautiful sort of sunlit experience above the clouds, and then you flew through the clouds, right? Trademark. And you landed at Heathrow, what you were experiencing were not natural clouds or natural weather phenomena at all. You were experiencing pumping and jumping and dumping. You flew through a geoengineering experiment, to Paul's point, without public consent.